Stay with me until the end of the story, because what I'm about to tell you will change the way you look at strangers, at silence, and at the moments in life when something deep inside you whispers that something is very, very wrong. This is not a ghost story. This is not a movie. Every detail I'm about to share is real, and by the time we reach the last word, you will understand why one ordinary night in a California hotel became the night that redefined everything for one woman who almost didn't make it out, and why the person who saved her was someone she had tried her entire life to forget. The drive from Sacramento to Los Angeles was supposed to take 6 hours. For Maya Hernandez, it took 11. She had left home at 3 in the afternoon on a Tuesday in late October, with nothing but a single carry-on bag, a thermos of cold coffee, and a resignation letter folded carefully in the front pocket of her jeans. She was 34 years old. She was exhausted in the way that goes all the way down to the bones, not from lack of sleep, but from years of pretending. Years of smiling at the right moments, laughing at the right jokes, and saying "I'm fine" to people who never really wanted to hear anything else. The resignation letter was for a job she had held for 9 years. A job at a marketing firm in Sacramento where she had worked 80-hour weeks and built campaigns that had earned the company millions of dollars, and where, just 3 days ago, her manager had promoted a man she had trained herself, a man who had been there for 14 months, into the position she had been quietly, patiently waiting for. Her manager had smiled when he told her. He had actually smiled. Maya had driven for 4 hours before she even cried. When she finally did, it was ugly and loud and real, the kind of crying that comes from somewhere you haven't let yourself visit in a very long time. She pulled off the highway somewhere near Fresno, into a gas station with flickering lights and a cashier who didn't look up from his phone. She bought a bottle of water and a bag of chips she didn't eat and sat in her car for 40 minutes just breathing. It was a trucker at the gas station, a heavy-set man with kind eyes and a beard that had gone mostly silver, who knocked gently on her window. She startled. He took a step back immediately, hands up, no threat in his posture at all. "You okay, sweetheart?" he asked, when she cracked the window open. "Saw you sitting a while. Just wanted to make sure." She almost said it. She almost said "I'm fine." But she was so tired of that particular lie that instead she just looked at him and shook her head slowly. He nodded like that was a perfectly reasonable answer. "There's a decent hotel about 12 miles south," he said. "The Meridian Inn. Clean place. Good locks. You shouldn't be driving tonight the way you're feeling." He said it without judgment, the way her grandfather used to say things, like the truth was just the truth and there was no reason to dress it up or soften it. Then he walked back to his truck and drove away, and Maya sat for another moment before deciding he was right. She found the Meridian Inn exactly where he said it would be. It was a 2-story building with Spanish-style architecture, terracotta roof tiles, and a row of palm trees along the front that sway gently in the October wind. The lobby smelled like lavender and old wood. The woman at the front desk was somewhere in her late 50s, with reading glasses perched at the end of her nose and a name tag that read Gloria. "Just one night?" Gloria asked. "Just one night," Maya confirmed. She was given room 214. Second floor, east wing, end of the hallway. She carried her single bag up the stairs, thinking about how strange it was to be so completely alone, not lonely, exactly, but alone the way a person is alone when they've finally stopped performing for an audience. It felt unfamiliar. It felt, in some small and uncertain way, like the beginning of something. The room was exactly what the trucker had promised. Clean. Simple. A queen bed with white linens, a window that faced a small courtyard with a fountain, a bathroom with good lighting and thick towels. Maya sat on the edge of the bed and looked at herself in the mirror on the opposite wall for a long moment. She looked tired. She looked real. She couldn't decide which of those things bothered her more. She ordered food from a delivery app, noodles and spring rolls and a green tea. She ate slowly, sitting cross-legged on the bed with the television on but muted, watching the images flicker without caring what they showed. It was almost 10 o'clock. Outside, the wind had picked up, and the palm trees were moving differently now, less graceful, more urgent. She was just about to turn out the light when she heard it. A sound from the room next door. Room 216. At first she thought it was the television. A low, rhythmic thumping. She turned the volume up on her own television to see if it made a difference. It didn't. The sound continued, not loud enough to be alarming, but consistent enough to be impossible to ignore. Then it stopped. Maya relaxed. Then came the voice. It was a woman's voice, very low, barely above a whisper. The walls of the Meridian Inn, despite the thick Spanish plaster, apparently carried sound in ways that weren't immediately obvious, because Maya could hear it the way you hear someone speaking in a library, not clearly, but unmistakably. And what she heard made the hairs on the back of her neck stand straight up. "Please," the voice was saying. "Please, I don't want to. Please." Maya sat completely still. She waited. She told herself she had misheard. She told herself it was a phone call, a movie, an argument that was already over. She told herself all the things that people tell themselves when they don't want to be involved, when involvement seems complicated and they are already so very tired. Then she heard it again. "Please. I'm scared." Maya was on her feet before she had made any conscious decision to move. She stood in the center of the room with her heart hammering, staring at the wall between her room and room 216 as though she could see through it. Her hands were shaking. She thought about calling the front desk. She thought about dialing 911. She thought about how many times she had been in situations where she had wanted someone to step in and help her, and how many times no one had. She picked up her room phone and called the front desk. Gloria answered on the second ring. "Gloria, this is room 214, Maya said, keeping her voice as steady as she could. "I can hear something from room 216. I think someone might be in trouble." There was a brief pause. Then Gloria said, very quietly, "I'll call the police and be up in 2 minutes. Do not open your door until I knock. Do you understand me?" "Yes," Maya said. "Stay on the phone with me," Gloria said. Maya stayed on the phone with her. She paced the small room, listening through the wall, hearing nothing now, just silence and wind and the sound of her own breathing. Gloria talked to her in a low, steady voice, asking her small questions. What was her name? Where was she from? Had she eaten dinner? Was she warm enough? And Maya understood what Gloria was doing. She was keeping her calm. She was keeping her present. She was keeping her human. The knock came in exactly 2 minutes. Gloria and 2 police officers. Maya opened the door. What happened next happened quickly. The officers knocked on room 216. There was a long pause. Then the door opened, and a woman came out, young, maybe 22, with dark circles under her eyes and a bruise along her left jawline that she was trying to cover with her hair. Behind her, visible for just a moment before the officers moved in, was a man sitting on the edge of the bed who looked completely calm in the way that dangerous people sometimes are, a calmness that is not peace but control. Maya never learned the full details. The officers didn't share them, and she didn't ask. What she did see, as the young woman was brought out into the hallway and wrapped in a blanket that Gloria appeared to have materialized from thin air, was the look on that woman's face when she realized she was out of the room. It was not relief exactly. It was something more fragile than relief. It was the face of someone who had stopped believing that help was coming, and who was now confronting, very slowly and carefully, the possibility that she had been wrong. Maya stood in the hallway in her socks. She didn't know what to do with her hands. The young woman looked at her. "Were you the one who called?" she asked. Her voice was barely there, like a radio signal fading in and out. "Yes," Maya said. The woman looked at her for a long moment. Then she said, very simply, "I didn't think anyone could hear me." Maya felt something break open in her chest. "I could hear you," she said. "I heard you." They didn't embrace. They didn't exchange phone numbers. What happened was smaller than that and more important. The young woman nodded, just once, and something in her face shifted, like a window that had been painted shut for a long time being opened just barely, just enough to let in air. And Maya stood there in the hallway of a California hotel she had never intended to stay in and understood something she had been running from for 9 years. Showing up matters. Saying something matters. Being tired and broken and completely unsure of yourself does not disqualify you from being the person who makes a difference. You do not have to be whole to help someone else hold together. She went back to her room at nearly 2 in the morning. She sat on the edge of the bed. She took the resignation letter out of her pocket and read it. She thought about the job she was leaving and the years she had spent making herself smaller in that building and the man who had taken the promotion she had earned. She thought about what it had cost her to stay silent in all those moments when she should have spoken. She thought about a young woman in a hallway who had not believed anyone could hear her. Maya folded the letter back up. Then she opened her carry-on bag, took out a notebook, and began to write. Not a resignation letter. Something else. A plan. Small at first, then larger. A life she had been postponing because she had been so busy surviving the one she was already in. Outside, the wind had settled. The palm trees were still. The fountain in the courtyard made a soft, even sound, like something breathing slowly and without fear. In the morning, she would get back in the car and drive to Los Angeles. She would not know what came next. She would be uncertain and tired and starting from somewhere very close to zero. But she would go. And this time, when someone needed her to hear them, she would listen. Because that, she now understood, was not a small thing. That was everything.